back to Spirit Connections. We're back from summer vacation. I am Tiffany Rice, Spirit Medium, and today I have my very good friend, Miss Necole Stevens, Spirit Medium as well. Yay! How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I love having you on the show. And for those of you at home, Necole has been on Spirit Connections plenty of times, but we're constantly changing it up. We're constantly... My microphone dropped. It always drops. It just par for the course. So anyways, like I was saying, we always change things up. And so today I wanted to talk to you about some of these classes that you're teaching. I know you're still doing readings and you're offering your gallery events, but you're transitioning. You're becoming a beautiful butterfly. And you're starting to teach these magnificent classes. So the class is called Souls Intent?
Intent Souls.
Intent Souls. I always get it switched here and there. So can you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, they're primarily focused on intentions and how we can get the life that we desire and deserve. And I incorporate that with a little bit of grief because many of my clients, they're grieving, but how you can still be happy and you can smile again. And so I incorporate all of that.
So I feel that that could probably be a little bit difficult because we associate grief with sorrow and sadness and so forth. So what would one expect if they wanted to sign up for your class?
Well, the thing is that a lot of people, including even myself with grief, is that you equate the sadness with your missing. And so you don't ever want to not miss and not forget and not love. When in reality, you don't have to be sad to miss and love. So even when you're smiling, you're still missing and loving them. It doesn't change. So during my class, I talk a little bit about that. I don't, do a ton on that, but we really talk about your want and your why. What you want and why you want it, and not to worry about the how. Just show up and let things fall into place because the universe will take care of you.
Now, do you feel that most of your students are coming from the same type of background, meaning same type of grieving background? Or do you find that some people might want to take your class just to kind of spread their wings a little bit and find out a little bit more about themselves?
It's a very diverse class. So there's people who are not grieving and they just want some growth, doing a little soul work. And then there are others who are grieving. That grief is a lot of work in itself.
There's so many different dynamics of it,
right.
And I think people handle it differently, and we have to respect that.
Right.
And I think what you're doing with this class is you're turning it into something of acceptance, and then how can they grow from this? Is that right? Do I have that right?
I never liked the word acceptance.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I just don't like that word myself. I don't feel like I ever just say, I accept Zachary's passing. I acknowledge it, I know it, but I don't really accept it. But one of the things that I have found is throughout the past year, I've done a lot of my own soul work. And I've really had a lot of clarity within myself about different things in my life. And the more clear that I have become, the better my connection is with Zachary. And as you know, my connection is the same as anyone's would be. I look for signs and I look for, all the same things anyone else would. But I find that the more content I am, the more I'm in a calmer place, the more I'm in a place of allowing, the better my connection is with him. I feel him around me even twice as much as before. You would think that we would know that. Does that make sense?
I can relate.
It would seem normal to us, right? But it's not, because we're still going through all of this as well. We're not, we're new to grieve, grieving within ourselves too.
Right.
So it has been really interesting to kind of like go with that.
Now, typically, how big do you think the classes are? And also, is this a class that you would actually go to, or do you do it online? How have you started this?
Well, I started with a smaller group,
okay,
and it's expanding. And previously, even with my, okay, I tried something, it didn't work out so well. So one thing, a little FYI, don't ever try to change what you do while you're in front of the group. So I had a group, I was doing a group reading, and it was one of my events, and I decided I'm going to try something new. And you know what, it was a huge success for some, and I knew that I was going to get some that weren't so crazy about it. But the thing is don't try it out in front of the crowd. You might want to try it out at home first. So I tried to incorporate it all at once, and I think it was a little bit of a shock when people were used to what I normally do. So I no longer do that. Now I keep my reading groups, my events, to my reading groups, and then I offer this separately. And within my work, we've hired some new people, and I am working with this woman, Mona, who is fabulous. And she is helping me create it as an online course, but I also teach it in person as well, and I will be traveling teaching it.
Oh, wow. See,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's spectacular, is actually traveling and actually getting out there and meeting people face to face, because I have taken the online courses, but for me personally, my preference is to be in a small group.
Right.
And, you know, have that one-on-one connection. So I think what you're doing is great. And it's funny that you mentioned, okay, I think I'm going to change it, or maybe I shouldn't change it. Well, there's a big group. I do that too, because I also teach guided meditation and I teach intuitive classes. So there sometimes becomes a point where I start kind of crossing over, so to speak, and I can see the expressions on certain people, how they may love it or how they're, wait, I didn't really sign up for this part of it. So it is really, I guess, it's really smart to be aware of keeping it to one thing, then switching it up. So
and really letting them know what to expect at that event.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
you know, I definitely had to clarify things on what to expect on each event so that they would understand it, you know, because I want to say this on here too, is like I have the most amazing clientele. I truly love them. I am so blessed with my clients. Like they're a family to me. I just love them all. And, you know, I want them to continue to trust and know that I'm still, you know, they know what to expect from me, because we like that. We need something a little consistent, right? We need something consistent. And so I don't want them to, you know, think that I'm completely changing. It's just that I think that we evolve and we grow, you know, with whatever we're doing. And when we start to change, things shift. And, you know, being in our line of work, we tend to go all over the place. We get a little ADD.
Right.
And, you know, start different projects, and we want to explore this and that. And so I just kind of got led down this different path, and it just was so amazing.
It just made your light bright.
It really did. I just got so excited about it, and it was amazing.
Well, I think that's wonderful with what you're doing, and it's true, just with everyday life, that's what happens, is you constantly change and you evolve and you become who you are meant to be.
We expand.
Exactly, we expand. I hate using the word we expand, but
we
it's
do,
true.
we do.
We do. Blossom. We blossom. But it's true, and I know that your passion is doing the readings and doing the gallery readings, but the way you speak about doing your classes, because you and I have had multiple conversations about this, just private conversations, you light up. It's something that you truly enjoy, and I know you are giving it your heart and soul, and that speaks volumes, and I'm so proud of you for actually, you know, taking that next step and actually trying something different and not just staying planted where you feel comfortable, and you've taken that next step and it's been successful for you.
Well, throughout, you know, even our friendship, I've always said that one of my goals was always to offer people hope in whatever way that I could. So there's, you know, many different facets that you can do that. And, you know, it's offering them hope after grief, loss, and loss can be so many things. So, you know, for different people, it's different things. So I've just kind of expanded on that to another level, because throughout, you know, it's been 4 years since Zachary has passed, and I've grown in different ways that I didn't realize I was stuck in a few places as much as I was. And, you know, it's important to honor yourself and what you're feeling.
Right.
And drop to the floor when you need to. And a lot of people, they talk about allowing, and well, what do you mean honor your feelings? What do you mean allowing your feelings? You know, what does that really mean? And it's really you dropping, you know, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. You kind of go through the motions. You don't resist it. You don't stop the crying. You don't stop what you're feeling. And you allow yourself to feel that pain. And it hurts. It's not easy. But you allow yourself to feel that pain, and you kind of not release it that it's all gone, but you release it for that moment. And then you brush yourself off, and you get up, and you say, okay, I'm going to do this again. And you keep moving forward. And you're going to fall a million times more. You know, it's a lifelong process.
Most of us have been there.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it can be with so many things. Relationships, you know, the passing of a loved one, jobs, like just children in general.
Whatever it is
right, whatever it is
that you need to grieve about.
Right. And so, you know, it's really just allowing yourself, because we resist it. I'm so guilty of that, of resisting.
Well, I think a lot of times, especially society nowadays, it's, all right, get up, brush yourself off, and keep on going. And I will, especially on social media, I'll post things like that. Like, all right, you got to dig down deep and keep on going. But at the same time, know your boundaries. And I'm always repeating myself with those words, know your boundaries, because you do have to offer that time, whether it's days, weeks, months, to be able to go through that process. Right. And then there's that point where you realize, I will continue. I need to continue. And just like you said, every day it's going to be a struggle, but every day you're going to get a little bit stronger. You
have an inner strength that you don't realize you're capable of. And, you know, you just have to let it come out, because you really do have this strength. All of us have it, and it's not an easy task, but it is attainable.
Right.
But we have to fight for it, and we have to fight that, you know, that we can do this, and not just surrender to the fact that this is it, I'm done, and just no. You gotta fight. You're here for a purpose. You are special. You know, you're special. Everyone is special, and they are here for some reason. Even if we don't know what it is, and I mean, both of us have went through it. We're kind of like, what are we supposed to be doing? Why are we here? But we do have a purpose, every single one of us, and it can be just to make someone else smile, whatever it is.
Exactly.
You know, and to honor that, and to keep fighting.
And again, it's one of those things where we do grow and we expand, and this is what you're honoring, is that you're realizing that you need to grow and expand. And
I'm still honoring my son while I do that, and he's right along with me.
Right.
And I feel like, you know, one of the things I know many have heard me say on the show before is when the tissues are in front of your eyes, stop looking for signs. You're just supposed to be taking care of yourself. Don't worry about it at that point.
Right, they will come.
They will come, but right now you just kind of need to be in that place.
Right.
And you know, they're always around us, but when you start, it's just so bizarre, because even being a bereaved mom, I'm having like this whole, you know, like epiphany. And I've preached it and talked about it, but not to the extent of what I'm actually experiencing.
How many times does Spirit give you the validations of something when you're giving a reading to someone where it could have happened that day, on the way to the reading even? Just certain little signs of that they are with us, they are still here, and they want you to continue on. They want you to find your passion and be happy.
And like hearing you say that even 3 years ago, and me knowing it and saying it, I know it from Spirit, but there was this little piece of me as mom saying, how do I do that? Like, how do I, you know, push through those trees and find my way again.
Right.
So it's this struggle that you go through. And so I'm actually living it and going through it. Like, I'll never ever try to share, teach anything that I don't actually experience myself, or, you know, have been through myself in some way, because I just wouldn't.
Right.
And as I'm going through this process, that's what it is. It's like I'm pushing through these trees, and now I'm seeing how much more Zachary is around me, and how much. It's just amazing to me, because 2 years ago I would have said he's always around, which he was, but it's different than now. It's like I can just feel him in a totally different way, but it's a beautiful way. I don't even know if I'm making sense. It's
No,
just
you make perfect sense to me. We always have these conversations where I know that it might not make sense to someone, and I'm hoping it's making sense to everybody out there, but it makes perfect sense to me because you're growing and he's growing right along with you.
He is. And that's what our loved ones do. And I know that you probably have, well, I know I haven't had this experience, and I'm sure that you haven't either. But they never come through saying, I saw you smiling, you're an ass.
Right.
Like, what are you doing smiling? Why would you do that? Are you
Right.
kidding? Have you forgotten about me? They don't do that.
Exactly.
And we know this through spirit, but when you're living it, you kind of go, well, what are they thinking? Or what, do they care that I'm doing this,
Right.
And so, to be in that place and just to finally go, I can do this. I'm just going to do it. And you push yourself and you survive. And that's what it is that we're warriors, we're survivors, each and every one of us.
And we have to dig deep.
And that's hard. It's not easy. A lot of people are saying, like, that is hard stuff. Like, I don't want to dig deep. But if you dig a little bit, then you kind of want to, because you're like, wait a minute, that felt a little bit better. I'm going to go a little deeper. And then you start, you go through a period where you almost feel worse. Then all of a sudden you start to feel a little different, a little better, in a different, not that you're feeling better like you're over it, it's just you're growing and you're expanding, you're having a better understanding of things, you're having more clarity. And that's, you're kind of acknowledging what's happening around you,
Right. And that's what it's all about, is giving yourself the time to go through. And I like how you corrected me when I said to you, now that you've accepted, and you said, I don't accept it, I acknowledge. And it speaks volumes. And, that's what it is. It's, you acknowledge it, you go through the process, and then kind of like, I want to say it's almost like let your heart guide you. And you'll know deep down where you need to be at what particular time.
I say let your shoulders guide you.
Okay. But you can do shoulders too.
When you do this, you're probably not in alignment. When you feel yourself all crunched in and you're like, well, I don't know about that. But when you start doing this, and you start saying yes, and this is what I'm doing, and you're really owning it, you're like total badass, shoulders are back and you're doing it, and it's guiding you, your inner guide is saying, like, yes, you're on the right track, this is your path.
Her delivery is so funny, because you're saying, yeah, shoulders back and you're badass. Meanwhile, if I was to say, yeah, shoulders back, you're a badass, you're red, like, it's funny how my delivery and your delivery is, it must be the Aries in me, because
I'm a Cancer, so I'm very soft.
Soft and squishy.
Well, actually, not to completely change the subject, but I'll tell you a little funny story about last night. I went to Kundalini Yoga, and it was a beautiful class, and they had a full moon ritual, which was, it was a full moon yesterday, and they had this beautiful ritual, and it's kind of embarrassing. I'm not going to sing it here or anything. But,
oh, come on.
But at the end, they did a beautiful healing ceremony, and they had the gongs and all the crystal bowls, and so we were all in a circle, and we were all holding hands, and each one of us, we'd go one by one, and you had to basically chant. And I'm not very loud and vocal, as you know. I can speak well, but I'm not a singer in any way.
Right.
So now, mind you, I'm supposed to be focusing on healing, but as they're going through, I'm going, oh my goodness, it's almost my turn. How can I get out of here really quick? I can't get out of here really quick. How do I get out of here? Oh my goodness, it's almost my turn. I was terrified.
Right.
And so everybody's saying, I'll just use this word as an example, Satnam. So everyone is saying it, and they have these beautiful voices, and they're just saying this beautiful, I'm not going to say it, but Satnam in a beautiful tone.
Yep.
And now it's my turn, and I literally go, Satnam. Like, it was so quick and short, and then it goes on to the next person. I'm like, oh, I did it. So we get back to the beginning, and they went around again, and I'm like, oh no. And
Did you sing it this time?
No.
Or was it still, no. I'm telling you, it's just funny because your delivery is always so free and
Yeah, that's me. My son Christopher told me that when he has children and I'm a grandmother, which will be a very, very long time.
Right, right.
But he said, I can just picture you as a grandmother. You're going to be like that crazy grandmother, and you're probably going to have just long gray hair, and you're going to be like in your sundress and your flip-flops. You're going to be like that hippie grandmother. I'm like, yeah, I'll be giving your kids carrot juice. And
Right. Have some kale.
Yeah.
Please.
Kale chips, they're yummy. And then a Swedish fish on the side.
Right, only one, too much sugar. Let me cut it in half for you.
No, it's like all good food and all the sugar you want.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm so glad that you and I had the opportunity to actually meet and become friends. And the first time I had you on, I think, was January of 2012 here.
Really?
Yeah. So we actually had met, I believe it was 2011, on the phone, because we live so far apart. But I've learned so much from you, and I'm so happy that we're friends.
Well, I feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where you feel that people are truly supposed to meet, and for whatever reason. And I'm just happy that I've been along with this journey with you.
Thank you, and likewise, of course.
Now, if I can just start eating healthy like you.
Oh,
I've been trying.
I don't eat healthy all the time. I told you I have healthy food, and I have just junk food.
It's all good. I'm like, it's all good. It's all good. So back to our original topic of conversation today. When is your next class?
I'm in the process of planning it.
Okay.
Because I actually leave for Chicago next week, and then I come back for a few days, and then I leave for Philadelphia. So I'm a little crazy for the month of September. And then I have a tentative book launch date. And actually, we had to change it again due to my travels and the editor's travels. And ironically, the new launch date, she asked about November 23rd, which is Zachary's birthday. So I just said, okay, we must need to go with it. So.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah,
well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to just add in that, and on Fridays now I'm having Free Friday. So I'll be having call-ins for an hour in the afternoon, which I haven't posted it yet, so this is one of the first places that I'm actually exposing it. But so for 3 weeks I'll have call-ins. Well, you'll email the questions, and then
email them to you?
Yes, but if you're on my newsletter list, that's the best place to get all the information. But I'll be offering these. It's every Friday for 3 weeks.
Excellent.
I spoke ahead of myself after I said it. I thought, I haven't really disclosed any of this yet. So I went a little ahead of myself. I was really excited about these.
Well, again, Necole, thank you so much for being on the show. And how can people get in touch with you?
NecoleStevens.com.
Excellent. NecoleStephenS.com. And once again, my name is Tiffany Rice, and thank you guys so much for returning back from the summer. And we will see you later. Have a good night.